Hello for the 22nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, using the first reading from the book of Sirach 3, verse 1 and 7 to 18. And then Luke Gospel 14, 1 and verses 7 to 14. And Jesus had a knack of answering a simple question with a message and telling a short story, a parable. Like last Sunday, the someone asked a simple question, will there be many saved? And then he gives a simple answer. Friday, there was the 10 virgins. 5 of them were wise, 5 of them were foolish. And he gives a simple insight and says, stay awake because you don't know the day or the hour. And today, there's another story that Jesus tells, and that is the dinner that the Pharisee is giving. And Jesus watches the people taking their seat. Some go to the best place because that's what they deserve. And others go to the lowest place and then they're raised up high. And it's all about pride and humility. But I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to give you another parable. This past week, for a few days on my computer, I got an email from my sister-in-law. And I read it yesterday morning before the 10 virgins parable. And I thought, this is a parable that Jesus would give in today's world. And I'm just going to tell it or read it. It's rather long, but that's the homily. And at the end of this modern day Jesus parable, I would like to ask you, what would you do if you were the people in this story? And don't look for a punchline, because there isn't one, but it's a modern day, I think, Jesus parable. And it simply goes like this. At a fundraising dinner for a school that serves children with learning disabilities, the father of one of the students delivered a speech that would never be forgotten by all who attended. After extolling the school and its dedicated staff, he offered a question. When not interfered with by outside influences, everything nature does is done with perfection. Yet my son, Shay, cannot learn things as other children's do. He cannot understand things as other children's do. Where is the natural order of things in my son? The audience was stilled by the query. The father continued, I believe that when a child like Shay, who is mentally and physically disabled, comes into the world, an opportunity to realize true human nature presents itself, and it comes in a way other people treat that child. Then he told the following story, his father. Shay and I had just walked past a park where some boys Shay knew were playing baseball. Shay asked, do you think they'll let me play? I knew that most of the boys would not want someone like Shay out there on their team. But as a father, I also understood that if my son were allowed to play, it would give him a much needed sense of belonging and some confidence to be accepted by others in spite of his handicap. I approached one of the boys on the field and asked, not expecting much, if Shay could play. The boy looked around for guidance and said, Mister, we're losing by 6 runs and the game is in the 8th inning. I guess he can be on our team and we'll try to put him in, but in the 9th inning. Shay struggled over to the team's bench and with a broad smile put on a team shirt. I watched with a small tear in my eye and warmth in my heart. The boys saw my joy at my son being accepted. In the bottom of the 8th inning, Shea's team scored a few runs, but was still behind by 3 runs. In the top of the 9th inning, Shea put on a glove and played in right field, and even though no hits came his way, he was obviously ecstatic just to be in the game on the field, grinning from ear to ear as I waved to him from the stands. In the bottom of the 9th inning, Shea's team scored again. Now with 2 outs and the bases loaded, the potential winning run was on base, and Shea was scheduled to be next at bat. At this juncture, do they let Shea bat and give away their chance to win the game? Surprisingly, Shea was given the bat. Everyone knew that a hit was all but impossible because Shea didn't even know how to hold the bat properly, much less connect with the ball. However, as Shea stepped up to the plate, the pitcher, recognizing that the other team was putting winning aside for this moment in Shea's life, moved in a few steps to lob the ball in softly so Shea could at least make contact. The first pitch came and Shea swung clumsily and missed. The pitcher again took a few steps forward to toss the ball softly toward Shea. As the pitch came in, Shea swung at the ball and hit a slow ground ball right back to the pitcher. The game would now be over. The pitcher picked up the soft grounder and could have easily thrown the ball to the first baseman. Shea would have been out, and that would have been the end of the game. Instead, the pitcher threw the ball right over the first baseman's head, out of reach of all teammates. Everyone from the stands and both teams started yelling, "Shea, run! Run to first!" Never in his life had Shea ever run that far, but he made it to first base. He scampered down the baseline, wide-eyed and startled. Everyone yelled, "Run to second! Run to second!" Catching his breath, Shea awkwardly ran toward second, gleaming and struggling to make it to the base. By the time Shea rounded toward second base, the right fielder had the ball. The smallest guy on their team, who now had his first chance to be the hero for the team. He could have thrown the ball into the second baseman for the tag, but he understood the pitcher's intentions, so he too intentionally threw the ball high and far over the third baseman's head. Shea ran toward third base deliriously as the runners ahead of him circled the base towards home. All were screaming, "Shea, Shea, Shea, all the way, Shea." Shea reached third base because the opposing shortstop ran to help him by turning him in the direction of third base and shouted, "Run to third, Shea, run to third." And Shea rounded third. The boys from both teams and the spectators were on their feet screaming, "Shea, run home, run home." Shea ran to home, stepped on the plate, and was cheered as the hero who hit a grand slam and won the game for his team. That day, the father softly, with tears now strolling down his face. The boys from both teams helped bring a piece of true love and humanity into this world. Shea didn't make it to another summer. He died that winter, having never forgotten being the hero and making me so happy, and coming home and seeing his mother tearfully embraced her little hero of the day. And now, a little story. This Jesus, modern day Jesus parable, if you were members of those teams and you had a son like Shay, what would you do? Well, folks, people who do things like this are the multiple people who are going to go to the kingdom of God. How many are saved? People who do things like this are going to participate in the kingdom of God. People like this are people like you and me, the multitude of people who are going to go and be with God. You could apply this to many, many things. You could say, instead of a ball game, what about the people at the borders? What about the people with interfaith experiences and exchanges? On and on. I just think this is a darn good story. And I think Jesus would make up such a story like this if he were walking planet Earth today. A story, but a story that asks, what would you do? Do you identify with these teams, this pitcher, this father? I certainly did, and I felt like that's just as good as the one Jesus used 2,000 years ago. Have a good day.